Hey, what's going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo. Welcome to the channel and welcome to this brand new episode of JJ's One Man Podcast. Hopefully, all of you have been enjoying all the different videos that I've posted up on the channel recently. There's a brand new video review on The Force Unleashed 2 that you should definitely check out when you get a chance after this podcast, of course. Leave me a comment over there on that video. Tell me if you guys enjoyed it, like it. Subscribe to the channel if you can too. But what do I want to talk about in this podcast episode? So there were some things that happened within the last few days that I felt was interesting and kind of unneeded, but people started to share it around after it happened or after things got put out there. So what am I referring to? Basically, there was a couple developers from various companies, including Ubisoft, including a Sony first-party dev studio, as well as also Guerrilla Games, that were kind of talking spicy and giving some hot takes about Elden Ring. Now, we'll get into my overall thoughts about this, but I did share some things on my own Twitter that you could go look at when you get a chance where I talked about this situation, but I'll detail them more here. But let me tell you some of the things that actually went down beforehand. So Ahmed Salma, who is a senior UX director at Ubisoft, Rebecca Fernandez O'Shea, who works over at Nix's Software, and Blake Raboche, who's a senior quest designer over at Horizon Forbidden West, or over at Guerrilla Games, right? These people had this thread that they were basically just talking a little smack about Elden Ring. And it wasn't anything too crazy, but it did come off a certain type of way. So Ahmed started things off by coming out and saying on Twitter, the fact that Elden Ring scored a 97 Metacritic is proof that reviewers don't give a flaming poop about gaming UX. My life is a lie. Which is kind of a weird thing to kind of just throw out there. You know, I understand, like, I have my own opinions about the reviews and stuff, but we'll get to that in a second. Rebecca comes in afterwards and goes, nor PC graphics, stability, and performance, apparently. And then Blake comes in and goes, nor quest design, really. Now, here's the thing about this. This is my overall take, which is a little bit more in detail than what I put out on Twitter. This was all unneeded. This was completely uncalled for, in my opinion. I find this to look very salty, bitter, and jealous because of the reception that Elden Ring has been getting. And had it been anybody else, if it was just like some random YouTuber or some other random person in the industry that was working on like an indie dev or whatever, nobody would care. But the fact that these people work on some of these other more popular games or at some of these other bigger companies, that's the problem. And I feel like Ahmed, Rebecca, and Blake should all know a little bit better being professionals in the industry. Because essentially, you're kind of talking spicy about your peers. You're talking spicy about their game and their success. And it comes off as like you're jealous of that because of whatever's been going on with your own stuff back in the day or whatever your games came out. Because I know Horizon Forbidden West just came out. But the thing is like, you know, when you look at games like Ubisoft that has whatever going on with its UI and all these other things that people can easily poke fun at. And what's funny is that somebody rebutted to this and they actually gave like this image, right? Where they took a screenshot of Elden Ring and they put like all these like random stuff on the screen, you know, to kind of mimic what you got from like Assassin's Creed, which is kind of funny. It is kind of a funny burn. You got to admit that it's a little goofy. But the problem is, and what I keep saying is that these people, Ahmed in particular, put themselves out there for that. And what makes it even funnier is that all three of these people, Ahmed, Rebecca, and Blake, they all locked up their profiles afterwards. I would have loved to see what their thoughts were afterwards when everybody reacted the way they did. Now, let's be real too. The Souls community or the people that love that style of game, they could be a little overzealous and way too overboard or overbearing at times. I've gotten that myself with my own criticisms of Elden Ring, which I feel like I'm coming from a very fair and just spot. But I have to admit too, like they could be a little bit too much at times. And I can only imagine working on games, you know, that are very popular and being out there in the public eye. It's probably even worse than what I got. But even so, you have to look at these people and be like, look, you put yourself out there like that. You should know better being in the public spotlight in order to, like, you know, if you want to vent and get your opinion out there, that's fine. But understand it's going to come with this reaction. It's going to come with these types of like rebuttals or these types of people out there. Since everybody that's, again, a big fan of games, they're looking at your social media. And it ended up becoming a big deal. It ended up becoming a thing when it really didn't have to. I mean, you look at some of the rebuttals and some of the replies on Twitter back to Ahmed's original tweet, and they're even saying the same thing. There's one on this article I was looking at over at mp1first.com, and they show this one person going, someone's salty they work for an open world sandbox generator that makes uninspired games. You be sad, huh? And it's kind of a stupid comment. It's a kind of funny, like, tongue-in-cheek rebuttal, but again, it's kind of true. these comments from these developers just look very, very bad and poor taste. That was the term that I used on my Twitter. It was in very poor taste. And like I said, they should know better. You're essentially talking about your peers. And as professionals in the industry, you got to know that because of the spotlight that you get from these games, you have to act better, when you're actually in the public spotlight. If you have those opinions, it's whatever. Everybody has their own opinions, but you got to find a better way to vent it out there. And you got to find a better way to express it without coming off as so like kind of crappy. That's the other thing too. I saw a couple YouTubers talking about this, and again, the wild takes with Elden Ring and the wild stances with Elden Ring is something that, you look at it and just you got to marvel at, because there's some people that just either they don't know what they're talking about or they're not seeing the full picture with this game, because they're either very positive all around and like praising this game, or they're really crapping on it for various reasons. And it's just crazy. But I saw people talking about this thing in particular, and you had people trying to talk about like, oh, they know a little bit more about game development, or that they know about the user experience and the mindset of customers. Is like, it's getting away from the point here. The main issue that I think is what with these three comments is that they just should know better when they're in the public spotlight on public social media to not talk like that, because otherwise they're going to get the response that they got. Anyway, those are just my overall thoughts. Again, this is a much more quicker podcast episode, a little bit different, and hopefully I don't get to talk about Elden Ring as much because we got other games coming very soon. So by the time that Kirby comes out, that's when I'm going to stop playing Elden Ring and play Kirby afterwards. But let me know your own thoughts about this whole situation. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think that the developers maybe were a little bit too spicy, or they're allowed to have their opinion? It's their public Twitter. They're allowed to put anything out there. Do you think that people are being overzealous about Elden Ring in general? People are saying that this game is Game of the Year already. And I think it's a little bit too early and a little bit too much to say that right now. But again, I digress. Put all that stuff down below in the comment section. Leave a like on this video if you can too as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Show some love. I'm about to hit 3K subscribers very soon. Hopefully to break that and then go even further beyond 10K if I could reach that point afterwards. There's going to be other game reviews coming to the channel as well. I'm already working on the next one since I just put up one literally yesterday at the time I'm recording this episode. Remember, still doing the whole one review a week on the channel. There's a lot of great content for you to check out already, but there's even more coming down the line. I will talk to all of you guys again very soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.